So can you give a Leeds welcome to our 3 customers, Adnan, Johann, and Brian, who's going to be coming up. So all how it's going to work, for the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to ask questions, hopefully do a great job for you to gather loads of insights and best practice. If I do a really bad job, or you get some kind of light bulb moments and you want to dig deeper into some of the answers that the panel gave, then you'll have around 20 minutes or so. So please continue to be brave and be honest and ask the panel some questions, be ready with your questions. We'll pass the mic around at that point. So first of all, let's introduce the panel. We'll start from my left to right. So Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Brian Cannon. I'm IT Director for Brown Butler. We're based in Leeds, just down the road, in fact. We've been around since 1919. We're about 100 people strong, and we're registered auditors and provide the full gamut of accountancy advice and services.
Brilliant, thank you. Adnan?
So my name is Adnan from IFS Accounting. We're based in Greater Manchester, a much smaller firm, which is me and 2 staff. And we've kind of been with QuickBooks from the start of our journey, which is only 2 or 3 years ago.
I want to tell you a little story about Adnan. So we wrote him an email asking him if he'd mind being a guest on the panel. And he thought it was a bit of a hoax. He said, why would QuickBooks want a 2 to 3 kind of person business up on stage? So, Nick spoken there about power and prosperity. What I love working about Intuit is whether you're a top 100 accountancy firm, whether you're a mid-sized bookkeeping and accountancy firm, or whether you're a one-man band or 2 or 3 employees, you are all equally as important to us as a business. We want to help all of you, no matter the size. So, yeah, we've got a good range of business sizes up here. So, Johann?
Hi, I'm Johann Goree. I am the Group Managing Director of OnPoint Accounting Group. We've got 22 team members, 13 in the UK, 9 in Sri Lanka, and we've got teams based in Edinburgh, Sheffield, and Reading and Kent.
So I want to now get some insight from our customers around their digital journey. So if you can give the audience a flavour of where you were at a point in time and where you are now, and then kind of what your vision is for your practice moving forward.
Yeah, so we're quite a traditional outfit, obviously with us being around for as long as we have been. We've had to adopt various software over the years. I know we're talking predominantly about a move to cloud, but our journey to digital clearly started a long time ago. We've been on-prem for many, many years. We took a decision 2 or 3 years before COVID hit that whenever we're changing any software, we're going to take cloud first as a principle to give us the flexibility to be sort of geographically agnostic, and also to take into account sort of disaster recovery concepts and security and so on. So we've moved the majority of our software that isn't our vertical systems, we've moved those to cloud. Our vertical products, so accounts preparation, corp tax, personal tax production, they're still on-prem at the moment. In terms of our bookkeeping products, we've always worked with QuickBooks from desktop days of '94, I think we started working with you. And that was really in preference to Sage. That said, when people come to us, we don't force them in one direction or another. We've always taken the view that we'll cherry pick software, we'll look for the right product for the client, and if QuickBooks could fit them, which often it did, then we would move them in that direction. But we'll take people with whatever they've got. If they're happy using a product, we have to work with that product because they're the client. We've moved the majority of our sort of mid-range clients, I think, I would say, over to cloud, and the majority of those are QB.
Thank you, Ryan. Adnan?
So yeah, when I set up, technology was already obviously a big thing, and everyone was already using cloud bookkeeping softwares, and so I thought I'd rather start off on a good habit rather than trying to do things manually and then have to migrate. So I kind of looked around, looked at all the top providers, and then I just found QuickBooks was the easiest to use, like for my own practice in terms of teaching a client how to use it. And then there's the training modules online anyway. So from the start, we've always kind of said, start off with best practice, and then you don't have to do any sort of migrations later on. So whenever we onboard a client, we'll show them around QuickBooks, and 99% of the time they're happy to go ahead with it. So it's kind of streamlined for us from the start.
You were saying that, man, outside when we were chatting, that actually when you started your business, you were helping friends and family, and they were using Excel.
Yeah.
So, well, how did you convert them to the cloud? To know one of the biggest problems accountants and bookkeepers have is there will be a cohort of your customers that will just be reluctant to change the software. What was your answer?
So I just showed him. I just said, like, look, let's have a look. And I'd jump on like a half an hour call with him. I said, look how easy it is to use. It's actually easier for you to use QuickBooks and have some visibility than it is to just send me a spreadsheet where you don't really know what's happened the last 12 months. And so even though, like, when I set up, like, you're right, it was very much just helping friends and family. So they were like, just sort it out. I don't really need an online bookkeeping software. But when I'd shown the benefits, like, they all kind of moved over pretty quickly.
So very much a coaching. I know some accountants and bookkeepers have shared with me in the past that there's no choice. It's if you want to work with me and my firm, then you need to follow how we operate. You're very much using a coaching process there, which is great. Johann?
So I started my firm in 2017. It was never meant to be what it is today. It was just meant to be me paying for my lifestyle and doing what I wanted when I wanted. I think I've completely ignored the competitive and driven, motivated side of me, of my personality, when I came up with that idea. But I wanted to help friends, so I was helping a lot of friends at the time who'd gone out into become sole traders. They couldn't get the time of day from accountants and bookkeepers locally. There wasn't very much choice. It was the big firms or nothing, and they weren't even having, like, they wouldn't pick up the phone call without starting the stopwatch and sending a bill for it. So those friends pickled my liver on a Friday evening in the pub in return for advice and support. And I thought, well, if I can do that, I'd probably do a bank balance out of this. So I looked around at different softwares at the time, and I had been using this horrible desktop server-based software called iScala in my old job at the time. It was hideous. One of those, everyone log out, I need to do an update. Or everyone log out on Friday before 4 o'clock, I need to trigger the backup before I go away for the weekend type things. So I knew that was not the option I wanted. I wanted the flexibility to be able to work from wherever I was at the time. So I looked at the market available 7 years ago, and the majority of it was still desktop based. There was a couple of people out there doing cloud based, including QuickBooks, and I decided, well, the easiest way to understand something is to undergo their training. So I did their online core training, then I did their advanced training, which was in person back in the day in 2017 in Edinburgh, and I just got it. I understood it. The price points were the same whether I had 1,000 clients or 2 clients. So it was like, actually, that's powering small business prosperity, because I can be as competitive as the big firm down the road. Just because they've got 1,000 clients doesn't mean they get any better prices from QuickBooks. Whereas some of their competitors was, well, the bigger you are, the more advantageous it is for you. And it's like, well, that's not fair on those of us starting up. So it made sense to use QuickBooks for my client base who were price sensitive because they were small. So I needed to do things as quickly, efficiently, and cost effectively as possible. And it's just built on from there.
So, I loved hearing about your journey. Like I said on stage, I don't want to just stand here and tell you why QuickBooks is great. What I'd love for you to share with the audience is, in particular, what features are your firms benefiting from? How is it helping power your firm's prosperity? Right?
Why do we choose QuickBooks? We've worked, as I said before, with QuickBooks for a lot of years on desktop, and we chose that originally because it was better featured, it was easier to use, and reporting far outstripped the other competitors that were available at the time. Everybody was heading towards Sage. Everybody knew Sage. Sorry to mention. Yeah. But it was a much better product. We felt that it was more focused around information, whereas the other products at the time were focused around data entry, and there wasn't an awful lot of thought given to where that data was being put. In terms of empowering business owners with information that makes sense to them, the QuickBooks product at the time was far outstripped what was on in the market, and again at the same sort of price point. We then, in I think 2012, had a client based in London, and he moved overseas, and we were RDPing into his server. It was just becoming somewhat unwieldy. that was just about the time I think the first online QBA Online was launched. We jumped on that, and we didn't look back. Some years after that, the QBOA interface was launched, and obviously we jumped onto that. And the online product, it was about 75% as feature rich as the desktop had been, and we found that it fitted most of our clients' requirements. We've always taken a view that we'll choose the best product for the client, and we just see cloud software as any other software, rightly or wrongly. So as long as we know the product well enough, we can configure it around whatever the client's needs happen to be. And that's what we feel is important initially, is to get that feel for what the clients want. A lot of the time they don't know what they want, so you need that interaction with them to find, to coax out of them. We know what you do, but you probably only do that because that's what's available. What's important to you? What would you like to drive your information? What features of the business are you wanting to control and change? And then we can configure the product around that. And that's the view we've always taken with the likes of QuickBooks. The features within it, I mean, there are so many, they're innumerable. But you know, the budgeting in Plus is great. I mean, I don't want to sit here and list features. No one's in.
You mentioned projects earlier, but thank you, Brian. Adnan?
For me, one of my favorite features is the rules. So like when I first started, I kind of start categorizing and it pop up and say, is this always this? And I was like, oh, okay, that's useful. And then so I made it one of our policies. As soon as you take someone on board, you go through all the rules in the first few weeks. And so that way it just saves so much time in the future. And then how we've kind of like developed on that is we've got some clients who are, I think more and more we're getting like vaping clients because it's kind of the in thing now. But like they'll have the same suppliers every other week. So like Vaping Bro, Vaping Kingdom, you know, they're not very creative with their names. So like we set a rule that we've got an auto forward inbox for the client, invoices our client's name, and then the supplier will send the invoices there, auto forward onto our next. From there, we'll set the rules that it is auto publish into QuickBooks. And from in QuickBooks, we'll have a rule that auto publishes it straight and categorizes it. So like we're doing like hundreds of transactions without actually pressing a button or touching anything. And that saves countless hours. And I'm sure this AI will make it much easier.
I was at the Glasgow and the Chelmsford QuickBooks event. It was really surprising for me. In the audience, there wasn't many that were actually using the artificial intelligence in the system currently. Obviously, intuitive systems to come, and that's really exciting. So it's good to hear that you're using the features and you're benefiting about power and prosperity. That can be different for all of you. You'll have different understanding of what that will mean to you. It could be saving you time. It could be helping you grow your practice. Prosperity to you might be seeing your customers be successful. Sounds like Adnan there, you're talking about using the time-saving functionality, the artificial intelligence currently in the product to help you therefore have more advisory type conversations with your clients and support them through these tough times, as Nick said. So great, thank you. Yeah, no.
I think by far my favorite product, and it's probably the most underused and undervalued product in there, is working papers. Like, if you look at the software providers out there, so you either got a unwieldy Excel spreadsheet that someone's broken a link on at some point and no one's ever fixed, and it's fairly basic of what you can do functionality wise, or you've got softwares that are built for auditing firms where they're earning good money out of auditing, and rightly so, and the softwares are targeting them, and it makes it very inaffordable for smaller firms that don't do auditing and just do annual accounts. But we still want that process, and we still want that reassurance that our team, as they get bigger, are still working to the same processes that we've set out, and they're documenting everything. So when QuickBooks did a working papers feature, it's completely revolutionized the way we do our year-end accounts now. Every client goes through the same working papers feature. Every single balance is backed up with PDF screenshots. There's notes there. Each team member goes through and, yeah, I've done this, I've done that. Myself or one of my senior team go through, yeah, we've checked that. Yeah, that's right. You've said that's your bank balance. That's the PDF of the bank balance. Great. It's just all there. And whenever a client queries it, we just go, here's the PDFs that back it up. Like, here are our notes that back up what we haven't claimed super deduction tax for, which I literally had to do last night. You know, a client thinks he knows best. He loses every argument with me, but he still thinks he knows best. Working papers, it saves us time. It makes us more efficient, but it makes us more consistent. So we're constantly doing the same thing for every client in the same way. and we've just got more confidence in our accounts production because of it now.
When we launched Working Papers, we had for 3, 4, 5 months of the launch of Working Papers, about 3% take up. So a lot of you guys were just not using the product. So might we see another kind of show of hands? Who's using Working Papers today in the product? So 2, maybe 2%, 100 people. So JB is obviously going to have some Halloween jokes. He's also leading a session that will take you through Working Papers. So what Johann has just said, JB actually built Working Papers and ProTax. So if you're not down to attend that session, I would definitely advise. There's a lot of benefits to you using our Working Papers. So please look out for that session. So as we mentioned, some of our competitors, and it's okay to mention their names. In Chelmsford, we refer to them as the blue one, the hot green one. That's the real green there, like that. So some of you, Johann, you're 100% QuickBooks, is that right?
We preach QuickBooks, we support QuickBooks. If a client's being a client and they're insisting on, I'm in Edinburgh, so we get a lot of free agent because it's free with NatWest and RBS, and RBS is a big thing in Scotland. So we get a lot of clients come to us and say, no, I just want to use free agents. Like, to be fair, it's absolutely fine for you, not a problem. So out of 800 odd clients, I think we've got 15 on free agent, and we had about 5 on Xero until August when we made an acquisition, which now puts it up to about 55. Unfortunately, I'm now a platinum partner with Xero. I did gag slightly when I had to put that logo on someone's email signature.
So you're pitching a lift. You've got 10 seconds to tell the audience what would you lean on when you tell your customers why QuickBooks? What's your go-to?
So there's 2 things. Pricing. Doesn't matter where they go, that pricing is going to stay the same. Whereas if they've just come to me with Xero license from one of the big firms, that would have been heavily discounted because Xero rewards the bigger boys than they do the small people. So I can't match that price because that's not what it's costing me to give you that license. So that's just unfair business in my view. We should support every business equally. But then terminology, like my clients go into the QuickBooks app and they get it, they understand the wording. Whereas Xero's still a bit jargony for the clients. So if the clients want to be involved in and want to go in and look at their stuff, they've got to understand it. And the QuickBooks app makes it understandable. I've got my own little limited company on the side of my own accounting firms. I've yet to log into QuickBooks for that little limited company. I run it all off the app so I can understand and see how my clients are interacting with it. And it's just so easy. It's there and then.
Bit longer than 10 seconds.
Sorry.
The passion was just flowing. I didn't want to stop him. Brian, you mentioned that you're agnostic, but predominantly is QuickBooks. Again, you're pitching a lift, 10 seconds. What are you leaning on to?
Ease of use. I think I agree with the terminology. I think some of the competitors' terminology is counterintuitive. But I think for me, it's knowing that you're working with a company. It's not so cheesy, but you're working with a company that has got the resource behind them, and it seems genuinely have a care for not just the accountants they're working with, but for the end users themselves. We've never ever had a problem with gaining support whenever we've spoken to, and that's a key area as well. There is support required. You're speaking to someone, you're not emailing and waiting for a scripted response. They know the product inside out, and it's always a joy to interact with them.
There was a few people in the room that aren't QuickBooks users, so you're new. One of the things that helps a lot of the businesses grow is our Find an Accountant directory. We generate over 4,000 leads, and what's great about that is that they're looking for QuickBooks accountants. So today, if you're not, even if you are a QuickBooks user or you're not, and you're not taking up the benefit of being on Find an Accountant directory for you and your practice, please do make sure you walk away being signed up for that, because that will benefit you and help your prosperity through the growth of your practice. Appreciate it. Didn't go to Adnan there, but I'm conscious of time. So I want to ask kind of 1 or 2 more questions, and I'll open up the floor to you here today. Adnan, apps. So QuickBooks does a lot of things. Appreciate we've got our friends and partners over here with Dex, MailChimp, PayPal, and Apron.
what apps do you use and why?
I'd say the biggest one that we've recently started using is Dex, from conveniently in the room, but like it makes life a lot easier. Like that partner I described before, like there's no touch points involved for yourself, and so it kind of just works its way through. And then we are now obviously looking into the practice manager. So I'm trying in an ideal world to make everything QuickBooks, because then everything is streamlined. I think whilst we're on that journey, it's quite interesting, because where we develop what we're going to use is kind of like a trial and error. Like we use demos from different softwares, but you always end up landing back at QuickBooks' own features. It's quite useful for me.
Thank you for that. Right.
Again, yeah, we don't tend to use any apps in-house particularly. We use Dexter a little bit, but because of the sort of size that we are, we can't be a single product house. What we do find, though, when we're looking at the product from a client perspective, the product itself is so feature-rich, as you were saying there, that you can usually find a solution within it. And if there is something that needs to be a gap that needs to be filled, the app marketplace tends to find a solution. We had a manufacturing client recently that needed quite an advanced inventory product. The app was in place on the site, and we did some research and some work with that client to put it in place. So the product itself is very well featured. There's the advanced product, which was launched a wee while ago. We've got a few clients running that now, and we find that when we've got clients that are moving up to suddenly requiring an audit, whilst it's not necessary to put them on advanced by any stretch, we've got a lot of audit clients still running on regular QB. We tend to use Plus. But we like the extra controls. They've got user controls, they've got workflow and what have you within the advanced product, and that plays well and plays nicely into the sort of audit reporting that we've got to put into place. So the user control within advanced is nice.
When Brian mentioned earlier about advanced, we talk about so much at these events. We've got so much great stuff near it into it QuickBooks, but advanced hasn't been spoken about a lot in our class here in our Chelmsford. So please make sure you lean on advanced, because it is a great product. Again, if you don't know much about advanced, we've got the QuickBooks moves at the back. We're not running a breakout session on it, but if you want a demonstration, our team will be happy to help demo advanced and explain to you what features and benefits can be. Johann?
Yeah, we've got quite an array of softwares. I always refer to QuickBooks as my gateway drug. That'll get the conversation started. So like QuickBooks Cashflow is a great tool to get that conversation started with a client. If they then want something more complex, we go to Float. If they want reporting, QuickBooks is a great tool. But if they want something more picture orientated, we go to SIF Analytics and do all our management reports in there. We are currently pushing Apron to every single payroll client so that they can make their payments even quicker and easier. And their bill payment software has finally broken the issue down of QuickBooks bill invoices and QuickBooks not having the bank account details stored. So Apron solved that problem for us, and we're now running off a whole new service because of it. But yeah, I've got a huge stack. But I actually put a post out over the weekend or last week on LinkedIn listing all of our apps and what we use them for. So if you want to see the rest, feel free to have a look at that.
Brilliant. I am conscious of time. We've got 15, 20 minutes. So if you would like to ask a question, our QuickBooks team around to hand out a mic. We'll put your hand up. Please do ask away. Great question. Hopefully a great answer. It sounded great to me. Anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say the people that don't want to adopt technology, if you actually sit and ask them, they actually don't want to, they don't even care about their numbers. All they want to do is give you a bag of receipts. So do they even need to know whether it's QuickBooks or Xero that's powering the reports you're giving them? It's you that's, if you're entering the data, then what's it really matter whether they embrace it or not? If they just want to go, no, every month I just want to give you my receipts and here's my sales figures. It's like, cool, we can scan those receipts for you, and it's going to cost you more because we're having to do it instead of you. But if that's the bit where they know this is it, this is the line, I just want to go buff and I've done my part, give me a heads up if there's a problem coming up with tax or something. It's like, cool. What's the tech stack matter to them? We've just kind of given up on them wanting any involvement in the tech stack and just gone, cool, here's the line. This is one thing you do and we do the rest, but you will pay more because we're doing more work for you.
Your question got me thinking. So MTD, it's a currently is pushed back to 2026. And for me personally, because I obviously see all the benefits through software, hopefully the government will hold true to that next phase. What do you see as the benefits to getting those clients now on the software and not waiting for the government to say, you need to do this?
The good clients that they're giving you information fairly real time, like they're taking the photos of the receipts on the day or within the week, say, and they're making sure their bank's always connected to QuickBooks. MTD it's as having no impact on them because they're already giving you the data more frequently than MTD it's quarterly filings are going to mandate. So for the majority of our clients, it's going to have no impact apart from the fact we need to file 4 more reports a year than we currently are. It's for those old-fashioned clients that come to you once a year. They're going to have to come to you 4 times a year now, which could make life a bit easier because they might actually remember what that receipt was for. That's half faded and sat in their van all under the window for 3 months, and now you can't see it.
Have you had success in your firms of converting those customers over now ahead of the time because you've managed to convince them of the benefits and you're seeing the benefits now as a result in your practice?
Yeah, the majority of our clients are now minimum monthly bookkeeping service because we're able to give them those insights and go without very much effort. We can go, currently, this is your tax position for the year if you continue on this telemetry.
So you're MTD ready
Yeah.
already. What about you two?
At the moment, I don't have much issues bringing people on to QuickBooks. Like I've mentioned it to a few clients, and we're in the process of getting them on. But the biggest thing I sell to them is like the time savings, because at some point they're going to have to tell us what that transaction is and provide evidence for it. So they'd rather do it monthly and quarterly rather than waiting, like I said, until the end of the year where it's faded. They don't remember what that cost is for. So I just tell myself, look, you're going to have to tell me anyway. Why not just tell me more regularly? And then I show myself, look, not only are you telling me, but you can see it as well, and you've got more real-time data, and you can see how your business is doing. So that sell of move over and use everything on QuickBooks is getting easier and easier, I think.
And for us, the vast majority of our clients are limited companies anyway. We've probably only got 300 or 400 sole traders and partnerships. Of those, I think we've taken a straw poll. There are probably only about 75 to 100 that haven't moved over to QB in readiness for MTD ITSA. So from our point of view, we will be wanting to move them over well in advance, really just to ease our workload. We don't want a big push at the last minute because you lose the opportunity to take advantage of, as I said before, the kind of the configuration meetings with the client and understanding what they can get out of the product, and you'd really just kind of, it's more of a knee-jerk panic, which we don't want to do. We want to give them the benefit and the value add of the product.
Yeah, love that point, because if you think about your own firms, and if you've got 200, 300, potentially 400 in Brian's case there, obviously only 75 now need to convert over. If you have got 400, and 2.5 years away sounds a long time, but actually when you divide that by the month, that number by the month, and then you factor in the 3 to 4 hours onboarding time, actually you need to plan now for that change for MTD ITSA. Don't wait for the government to say, right, now's the time, and that comes, I've got a month to go, because I kept putting it off because I didn't think that this day would ever come. Act now. Any other questions?
QuickBooks has got receipt capture, so it can do that on the app. Ironically, my team scream at me every week because I forget to do my receipts, setting the standard really low. We don't have that issue as much anymore, but that's because we've refined our website and our advertising and where we do and don't pick up clients. So the older generation that aren't tech savvy and stuff will go to see our website because they'll go, oh, that's a local firm, I'll talk to them. Then they see our website and we're talking tech, softwares, who we partner with, benefits of time and saving, etc., etc. And they just go, no, thank you. Oh, there's a firm there. They're talking about paperwork and stuff. That's my kind of. So we aren't getting those inquiries because we've actually filtered them out with our communications. The first, if anyone inquires, like, no problems, here's a link to book into my diary. we'll have a Zoom meeting. If they're not willing to, if they can't work out how to book a meeting in my diary using Calendly and they don't like Zoom, then they're not going to be the right client for us and they won't go to the effort of making that booking. So you can filter the clients you don't want out easily enough by just doing a few simple tweaks.
Can I have another show of hands who's heard of QuickBooks client onboarding? 40-50%. So we have got an additional support for you to help with your client. So your clients can set up a call with the QuickBooks team to spend 45 minutes going through the basics of QuickBooks and onboarding them. So we take a lot of the lift, again, powering your prosperity through the assisted onboarding. I think one of the other things that really excited me listening to Nick was the Intuit Assist. And I couldn't get out of my head when I used my Sky Remote, my Sky Plus. There's a button on the side of it where I can just talk into it to change the channel. And Intuit Assist, how you're going to use QuickBooks in time is going to be far more intuitive than ever before. So that's really exciting for the Gen X and the millennials. But if you've got some sticky customers that you think will be a potential slow burner for you, please use the resource we have available through the assisted onboarding.
Some clients are so busy, they just want this. I know Johann's dealing with that. I'll do what he tells me. I'll e-sign here. So we automatically email out 9 months into a financial year saying, do you want to book a tax meeting? We'll plan your tax in the last, so we've got 3 months to action it. We email that out to every client. 5% take us up on it, but we're being proactive. We email every client every 3 months saying, just checking in. Do you need to chat to us? We're not psychic. I mean, we word it slightly better than that, but we don't know what's going on unless you tell us. Don't forget, here's a link to your client manager's diary. Book in for a chat. So we keep the door open, but most clients are quite happy just cracking on. And I was saying at Chelmsford and Reading, this AI is going to be incredible. Do not fear redundancy because of AI. We all feared when Dex came along, bookkeepers were going to be gone. Bookkeepers will be no more. Dex is going to do it all. Auto entry is going to do it all. All they did was re-engineer the time we have and how we spend it. So instead of entering data manually, they do that. We now spend more time with our clients doing what they value. If the client wants that meeting, they get that meeting now. Because I've not got to worry about sitting there and processing all their receipts. AI is going to be exactly the same thing. It's going to speed up loads of processes. So as bookkeepers and accountants, we can spend more time doing high value stuff with our clients. That may not be a physical meeting or a phone call or something. That may be us understanding their reports better and giving better analysis of their profit and loss or their expenditure breakdown or something. And AI will even assist us with that to a certain degree. It will give us conversation starters. But yeah, I think AI is just going to power us to deliver the service our clients want, whether that's in person or not.
Anything to add?
Yeah, I think if I understand your question correctly, is your concerns about being cut out of the loop, where the client relies entirely on the AI that's being presented to them, the information that the product's surfacing. I think it's down to the communication to make sure that the client understands that whilst AI is doing a lot of the heavy lifting and some of the interpretation for them, they're only going to get a proper insight from a qualified professional that understands the intricacies of what's in the graph or what's behind the numbers. And it's then the conversations, as we're saying, that go around that, the higher value stuff, as people like to call it, of you've seen your numbers, what can we do with that? You're going to have an excess of funds. You can invest, you can look at the new machinery, you can look at replacing and renewing and so on. So it's those discussions about the way the business is going to progress and change. We've got several, we're in the fortunate position, I guess, of having been around so long. We've got some clients who are third generation family where it's just been passed on. And we're seeing now the business owners coming to us and saying they've got quite antiquated systems. They want something that's going to be more interactive and more AI-like. They don't know that's what they want, but that's effectively what they're saying.
AI will never understand context. So AI will give you some talking points from your report, but AI would never be able to turn around to your client and go, oh, you run a coffee shop. What do you do with your coffee beans that you've ground up? Because I tell all my clients to put them in bags and give them away for free in the shop to the clients and customers because they can use it in their gardens, in the flower beds. Oh, that's environmental, isn't it? That sounds really good. It also cuts down on food waste, so they're saving a bit of money. AI is never going to be able to go, oh, do you turn your fridges off at night? That will save you some power. It just won't be able to have those conversations, but it will free up the time for you to have those conversations yourself instead of processing documents. Fridge light.
Thank you for the question. We are at time. I just want to say a massive thank you to Brian, Adnan, and Johann for coming on stage. It can be quite nerve-wracking, so I think hopefully they've done an incredible job offering some insights and best practice. So we can give them a massive round of applause for their time.
Hello, my name's Johann. QuickBooks Advanced is a lot more powerful than QuickBooks Online.
Okay, so I've decided to pack in work. It's about 5:15.
But it's a good business, the owner just doesn't care.
I'm not sure how much good content Liz is getting out of this.
We are live. I've got Johann Goree in the house.
And welcome to another episode of Ask the Accountant We Have Cool Friends.
Aaron and I actually met and came up with the idea of this podcast